So thank you very much, both of you, for being here. Uh, Two of my favorite brands, and I'm not saying it because you guys are here. So let me start with you. I don't know if Peter Pham had once, I don't know if he has told you the story or not. So there is this crazy guy, a good friend, Peter Pham. So he is walking around with something called liquid death. I said, what the hell is this? Is it poison? So he showed me and he said, here's a concept and all that. So he's an aggressive marketer for you.
Yeah, Peter is one of our early investors.
I know.
He's behind science.
And he's a huge marketer for you guys.
Without a doubt.
So he comes and he tells Raja, this is a fantastic brand, etc. I said, let me think about it. It's very unusual. Will I really name something as liquid death that I'll consume? I know there is poison as a fragrance. I know there is opium fragrance name. But liquid death, I struggled with it a little bit. And then over a period of time, it started growing. And the second time, third time I saw, I said, man, this is a pretty breakthrough. It's phenomenal. And and Peter is there at every single forum that you go to. And he is the guy, the wildest guy, having the most amount of party is Peter. And he always comes with a drone or with some kind of a gadget, new gadget every single time. Yesterday he had a drone flying around with camera going away from you, coming towards you and all that good stuff. So I said, how is this company doing? Because the brand seems to be, he says it's doing fantastic. So with that background, were you involved in the naming from that stage itself?
You know, I wasn't. I have been with the company for about 2.5 years, but fortunate to be an early investor in the first 2 rounds. So I've definitely had my eye on it since day
So
zero.
you can buy this villa, it looks like. Looking
But the name, the name Liquid Death, I mean, our ethos is in it. We murder your thirst. We're a healthy beverage brand. People don't really understand that. We make kind of soda alternatives and flavored sparkling, all natural ingredients, low calories, low sugar, iced tea, low caffeine. So we murder your thirst, but we're also death to plastic. When we came out, there was literally only 2 places on the planet where you could can still water. And I think we've moved the market a little bit. I mean, I didn't know. I have to be honest before the company. I thought I was throwing that crinkly plastic bottle in the blue bin, doing my part. Didn't realize 95% wind up in a landfill, in the ocean, that sort of thing. But it's also viral packaging. As a startup, you have to punch above your weight. Every dollar has to be 100, otherwise you just go out of business. So what is a name that stops you that you have to look at on the shelf? I think this does it.
I tell you, it's pure genius. It's absolute genius, and not just in terms of the name, but how you're expanding the brand and how you're actually getting it into the cultural vernacular, which is to your point of being in viral, etc. And I was also seeing yesterday, I said, how is the brand extension happening? There was one with lime. This is not lime. It says severed lime. I said, these guys so much on point about that.
Yeah.
And now when you say murder, thirst, kill plastic, it's extraordinary. And I think this is one of those mega case studies for Harvard Business School.
I think they've done one, yeah.
Oh, they have done one already? Yeah. Okay. That's phenomenal. I tell you this. So congratulations and kudos to you on that. That is phenomenal. My second brand and my biggest time waster. But I love it.
Entertaining.
You're entertaining. Exactly right. But I tell you again, this is something which a few years back I would not have dreamt. How rampant this particular Netflix is and how captivating it is and how it is sustaining its edge. When I saw Amazon Prime coming in, I said Amazon Prime will probably kill these guys. No, they haven't. And you guys have been keeping ahead of the game consistently, continuously. You're one of those few brands which even have, which is very close to my heart, is a Sonic brand. And that Sonic thing is highly recognizable. And it's such a great marketing overall, not just in terms of content creation alone, but the entire way it is coming through. I remember, who was the guy, Rick Gervais or something? So he was actually talking about it at one point. He was saying in a different context, but when he said, oh, we might as well all go home. Everything Netflix, you won all the awards at that Oscars kind of a thing, which is true. And I think it's an extraordinary story. How long have you been with it and what has been your journey with Netflix?
So I have been at Netflix for 3 years, which is at Netflix dog years. So I've been CMO for over 2 years. Okay. So I joined 3 years ago, literally, like just next week. So my journey has been, an interesting one because Netflix, as everybody knows, our culture sort of precedes itself. And so it's a very specific place. And I think I'm the fourth CMO in
5 years.
definitely the third CMO in 5 years. So it's a great place to work, but it's a place where you have to know what you're getting into. So I've been both, before Netflix, I was at Spotify for 9 years. And I think that perfect combination of a tech company that is disrupting entertainment has helped me excel at Netflix, but also I'm lucky to I get to work on the best shows and movies in the world. And so we've just had a lot of momentum. So it's been great. Yeah, 3 years.
I think it's been more than great. I think it's extraordinary what you guys are accomplishing. I think one common thread when you look at both of you in your respective ways is how well you are connected into the culture. You're either even creating some cultural aspects or you're completely plugged into and leveraging culture brilliantly. And in the process, you're creating not just consumers, but real fans. Now, how do you go about, in a situation where culture itself is dramatically altering, literally by the day? You guys have stayed relevant, you're growing, you're thriving, you're succeeding like crazy. Give us some tips and insights.
Well, this is the part where I have to issue a disclaimer. Anytime Liquid Death is on a panel, it should be like a pack of cigarettes. The insights you're about to receive may or may not work for your brand.
Wonderful.
We're very distinct. We're very unique, but hopefully there's germs of truth that's broadly applicable. But yeah, for us, we're doing something that was pioneered by Red Bull and Monster. It's entertainment marketing. We're not the first to do it. Where their lane was action sports, ours is comedy. And we strive to be the funniest thing in your inbox or that you see on social. And we're pretty ruthless about it. If it doesn't make us laugh, it does not move forward. And I think doing that gets you authentically into culture. And, the fans have responded.
It's extraordinary. If you can just elaborate a little bit more. So if you can elaborate it a little bit more, which is in terms of, one is the kind of tonality that you actually adopt, but you have a whole organization around community management that is obsessed and fanatical about creating that kind of a fandom and followership.
Well, we're a very small team. So our entire creative team, we're all in-house from concept through production, and they could fit in an SUV legally. That's how small we're talking. So it allows us to have a pretty singular
Okay, my marketing team is here. Please make note of this.
Yeah. Cheryl does not approve of your message.
But look, we kind of think of ourselves like a SNL writer's room, and we hire folks, typically outside the agency or brand world. We have folks that have written for movies and Adult Swim. We have a network of stand-up comedians that are brand ambassadors that we riff and pitch ideas off of. So, I think it's that somewhat unique structure then deployed on social, which I think, the insight in social is that you have to be funnier than everything in their feed if you're going for humor, more educational, more earnest. The bar is much higher. It's, not like linear where you just had to be mostly memorable in the commercial break. And, we take that to heart and do our best.
And it's obviously working. To you, Marian, you have got shows like the Squid Games or Bridgerton, which have become a cultural phenomenon.
Yes.
And, it's extraordinary. And it's not like just a one-time fluke. You're doing it decisively, you're doing it intentionally, and it's bringing extraordinary result. The question for you as the Chief Marketing Officer, what is your role in terms of getting into those kind of shows or enabling them? Or is it more about collaborating with some other department and then agree that this is going to be the content and then you market the hell out of it?
So in both of the examples you gave, we just launched Bridgerton season 3. And so Bridgerton season 1 launched during COVID. And I think it wasn't quite clear, even though it's existing IP. It's based on Julia Quinn's books, how popular it was going to be. And it didn't have traditional marketing. There wasn't a premiere. Everyone was in lockdown. It launched around Christmas time and it took off. So when you think about marketing something like Bridgerton, we're in season 3. It already has an established fan base. It's very easy now for us to do brand partnerships. Everyone saw season 1. They know what the numbers look like. They see culturally what's happening. So year over year, it's just grown into this juggernaut. And so now when we launch part 2 of season 3 just this past week, you can't control the conversation because now the fans have really taken off with it. Squid Game, on the other hand, was a surprise even to our executives in Korea who launched the show. It launched also during COVID. We have something where our creative executives can predict how they think the show is going to do in metrics, and then it's called Crystal Ball. And they predicted, I think, like an 8% start. And it's still the number 1 show globally in 90 markets. So we're about to launch again in December with Squid Game season 2. It's been 3 years, and so I've just finished watching it. I watch all of our shows.
So you get to see all the shows before the world does.
I do. I give a lot of notes. I have to think about Squid Game. Part of it is, was it a COVID anomaly? Everybody was at home. Americans don't tend to like to watch things with subtitles. Are they going to watch again? Was it because it was games you're familiar with, red light, green light, except you die? And was that the phenomenon? I'm not sure. Actually, I think marketing, season 1, because it was such a hit, we could reactively market it. Now season 2, it's our biggest show in the world. It is now our responsibility to make sure people still remember it 3 years later. People are busy now. They're not stuck at home. So it's a different type of challenge. And, the director has a different way of telling the story. So I will say I watched the show and I immediately called our head of content in Asia. And I was like, I think we need games much sooner in the episodes. I'm not, where are we going with this? Because I'm thinking about travelability. Is this content going to work in many markets? And so our biggest challenge with Squid Game now is to get the fans back. And that's tough to do. We have 270 million people on Netflix. And so I got to get them back for Squid Game season.
And these are all paying subscribers.
Across all of our plans.
That's also called the money printing press.
Yeah.
Which is extraordinary. Now, on that, just wanted to ask one more question, and I'll come to you soon after, which is, being from India, I watch more of Indian films.
Do you watch Hiramanji?
I did. Yeah. The Hiramandi was one of the most, I think, luxurious settings, and Sanjay Leela Bansal. Is there any Indian here? No.
You should watch it. He is a film director, but he wanted to create a television series, and it's just beautiful.
Extraordinarily luxurious and period thing, which is called Hiramandi is diamond market, and everyone talks about India. It's become such a part of the culture. Now, we call them housewives. They are stay-at-home moms mostly. What they do is now they talk in that kind of a language, just like that, and create memes around it. It is fascinating. Or on the other side, you have got Kapil Sharma show. So Kapil Sharma, he's a comedian, a stand-up comedian, but kind of a thing, but he engages other people. It's become a huge hit. One after the other. So you're not just appealing to one kind of audiences, but you're also getting into segments, into countries and stuff like that. How challenging is it and how easy is it?
So I think there's 2 parts of my job, which are a little bit different than yours. I'm responsible for the Netflix brand, but I think when all of you as marketers are doing your job, you're maybe marketing Liquid Death or maybe like one product line. We put out over 1,000 shows around the world. So, and not often, you might have a connection with Hiramandi, but often people may not attribute that back to Netflix. And because I'm marketing the show or the movie, and then I have to get people to attribute it back to Netflix. And so that becomes part of, the difficulty, I would say, about my job, to be able to market Netflix as a brand on its own, but our individual content around the world. And something like Hiramandi, where locally in India it was so popular.
Huge.
I watched that very early to say, do I think it's going to travel outside of Asia? And so that is very specific to our local marketing team on the ground in Mumbai has to think about how to market it, but how can we drive viewership outside of the market? And not all of our content is made to be local. So it's really in watching things, do I think, we'll hit the diaspora in London and, in Los Angeles. And so it's just a different way of marketing. We do a lot of local marketing around our local slate. And then we have our Hollywood content also that exports.
Got it. It's fascinating. And those of you who don't follow Hindi, still I recommend you see it. It's a fabulous, which takes you to different lives about the lives of citizens.
Yeah. But when I watch, so I have to watch things early before all the effects are in. And so I'm like, you have to imagine people flying. But with Hiramandi, you're seeing a lot of things on green screen, but I didn't know the story about this city that was just full of courtesan houses. And then the, British military is there and that relationship. So I had given a note to our content team and said, if I am not Indian and I'm watching this show, how can you introduce me to this world of courtesans? And so I think that's really important because our content executives sometimes are developing shows for 5 years, 10 years. They're so deep in it, they cannot see outside of, just they have tunnel vision. And so I'm trying to bring a global perspective to say, help me get into the story faster, help me be a fan. We've greenlit the second season because it was so popular, but sometimes it takes that tweak to say it could appeal outside of India, but it needs a little context for viewers outside.
Absolutely. Right now, I think with the Indian diaspora, Pakistani diaspora, Bangladeshi, Sri Lankans, incredibly popular around the world. Dan, back to you. Firstly, when I think of it as a marketer from a concept of liquid death and how you're going about it, is it specifically skewed more towards the younger folks? And am I the exception? At my age, I still like it.
Definitely not. I think what's unique about Liquid Death is we're attracting a big tent with a lot of different cohorts. We have, we look like a beer intentionally. So we have folks that in nightlife settings, bars, festivals, might not want to drink. Maybe they're sober, they don't want to drink that night. They fit in. We have kids that see it as dangerous and parents that are happy that the kids don't want high fructose corn syrup or energy drink. We have people that respond to the environmental message, and then there's just kind of the badge value, people that like the aesthetic or like what we stand for. So we've kind of brought them all in, and there's, we operate on social pretty extensively because that's where the eyeballs are. So yeah, with that comes a lot of Gen Z, Gen Alpha.
Now, I saw there was a very unexpected partnership that you had with a cosmetics company. What was that about?
Yeah, Elf Cosmetics. Again, everything we do in marketing, the hope is that it's hilarious and that it stops you, that press has to write about it. Because again, we're a very small company, we're startup, micro budgets relative to probably any other brand here.
Can you please repeat that last?
And part of the thing we look for is tension. Liquid Death, heavy metal expected. Liquid Death, cosmetics, very much
unexpected.
Unexpected. So the concept, if folks didn't see it, we wanted to present this style of makeup that, if you're familiar with the old band Kiss, they kind of did it. It's called corpse paint. It has that name in a largely Scandinavian, Norwegian metal. It's a big thing. It's a culture. Black and white, very arresting. We wanted to present that as though it is the hottest trend for makeup influencers. And so we came out with a parody commercial. We play nostalgia a lot. There's a lot of power there. So it's kind of like a 90s kids commercial. And the person on the the Teen Bot magazine was Glothar, who pops out. It follows kind of the format that you would see. But additionally, we went out and found some of the top makeup influencers. Like Get Ready With Me is kind of a thing, and they were doing it without the joke, without the wink. So it was very much coming through your screen. So if you were, typically a young woman following those influencers, you see this crazy makeup. The influencer goes through it and says, oh, here's how you do it. And keep scrolling, and then another one pops out. So it was kind of a very 3D way to get into minds. And, press liked it. We had Julia Fox kind of do it and was spotted in New York. And it took on a life of its own. So we love Elf. It was a fun one.
I think that's really brilliant.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, we sold the kits, the corpse paint kits. They sold out in 40 minutes. So a lot of what we do is we take this kind of ephemeral nature of the internet and marketing and make it real. I mean, one of the things we did once upon a time was take Tony Hawk's blood, who's an investor, put it in paint skateboards, and sell those skateboards.
Tony Hawk's blood.
Yeah.
Real blood.
Real blood, yeah. I mean, it wasn't a ton, but people are really dedicated to the brand.
Whose blood do we need to take and put it on our credit
Cheryl
card?
staking your blood.
This is sheer marketing joy. Extraordinary, absolutely. Talking of cosmetic, you're also having a cosmetics partnership, which is also a little unusual.
We have so many.
Oh, you have so many cosmetic companies. NYX?
Yeah, we have that. We have Kiko for Bridgerton.
And you got Ben & Jerry's for ice creams.
We have Scoops Ahoy. We have a lot of, we do them by show. So I would say our partnerships. Right. So it's a little bit different.
So, but for somebody like, for example, Mastercard, it seems to be a very interesting opportunity, isn't it?
Yes, we love to partner with
There you go. Okay, good. Guys, how many witnesses do we have? And it's on record as well. Deal is done. Okay.
I think that the beauty of Netflix, again, because we have so much variety of content, we can match brands with your demographic in particular. So maybe Bridgerton doesn't fit for you, but
no, it fits. It fits. Don't worry about it. See, the beauty about Mastercard thing is
you fit with everything. But
we fit with everything. That's the whole thing, right? And what we have done consciously is to focus on 10 areas: culinary, we got philanthropy, we got environment and sustainability, we have got sports, we got music, we got art, we got culture. So you name it, we are there. So we are basically essentially a payment mechanism. So whatever you pay for, we are there and we are relevant. So I think this should be a very broad and a deep partnership. Awesome. So the other one is in terms of typically when you have these passionate fans, sometimes they can take the whole narrative away from the company. For example, when I see some of the videos of Priceless, which have gone in the culture, I cringe. I said, oops, it's crazy, no? And from a classical marketing perspective, that is anathema, totally objectionable. Now, you are by design, you're in the culture and your culture first, so to speak. And sometimes the narrative might not go the way you want. And in your case, whether you would want it or not, you got like 260 million fans freaking out on various shows, etc. If the narrative goes away from hand, firstly, is there a risk? Is it desirable? Is that risk desirable? And the third thing, and I'm asking both of you, if you can just take turns. And the third thing is, how do you take the narrative back?
Well, I'd say, the biggest risk we all face as marketers is being ignored. I think that is a huge risk of burning money on media channels and somebody's on their phone not paying attention. For us, we also kind of look at ratios since we do so many things on social. There can be 15,000 likes and 1,000 comments, and 10 of them were negative. You know what we do with those? We make music. We have a series called The Greatest Hates, where we take hate comments. The first one was metal.
So smart.
The second one was punk. And then we kind of went sideways last year and did like a Madonna's 80s inspired power pop. I would give you some of the names of the songs, but it might not be appropriate. So hit Spotify and check them out. They're hilarious. And
this is a mature audience, so issues.
Yeah, one of them is I'd rather cut my own dick off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stop there.
So
That was a little beyond mention. I asked, but I take it back.
You did. But I think kind of we all know, in-group, out-group psychology, right? You want to bring people in, and brands do such a great job of saying, this is what I stand for, this is what I believe in. But what almost no brand does is say, this is what we're not. And so we point out our haters. We had another one, we called it Tase Test. Oh, you can imagine our Liquid Death legal team. So we found a couple haters that said we were the worst water they've ever tasted. Flew them to LA and offered them $1,000 for a blind taste test. And if they could pick Liquid Death as the worst water, we give them the grand. If not, we tase them with a taser.
Good show. Good show.
So again, we're showing our fans that, look, if you're not in on the joke, if you don't have a sense of humor, if you take yourself too seriously, that's okay. And, there's other beverages for you.
That's brilliant. Absolutely. So delightfully so.
Did you taste them?
We absolutely tased them. And so, it turns out there's a lot of legal around it. And we followed all of that. And we had a person who was a certified taser instructor that we found on LinkedIn in LA. And we're on set. And so we're like, where should we set this taser? She's like, I've never used this one before. I have no idea. But yeah, we tased them.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's brilliant. That's a good one, Cheryl. We should.
So
Marian.
we have told us Wednesday is going to be big. They're like, well, we think, it might be big. And I was like, okay, you're going to send people to Romania. They get out to Romania and they're like, we're going to capture content. And they called me and they're like, there's some stuff happening on set. It's like there's no hot water. There's a lot of problems in Romania, but they powered through. They had gotten the signal very early that was going to be a popular show, and they ran with, what would Wednesday do? That was the creative platform for our marketing campaign. It ended up being one of our most popular shows. And when it came out, a fan on TikTok took this Lady Gaga song from 2011. It wasn't even a single off of that record, Bloody Mary. She didn't even make a music video for it. And they sped it up and they took the Wednesday dance and they put it on TikTok, and that became the viral moment. And so when you talk about leaning into your fandom, that song wasn't even in the show at all. When she did the dance on the show, she did it to a totally different song. So we went really fast. I happened to know Lady Gaga's team, and I called and I said, you have this show from 2011 that now is making you guys millions of dollars because it's back number 1 on the charts from 2011. You never made a music video. Get Gaga, who's in between records, to film herself with doing the Wednesday dance to her track. And then give me the song for free so I can use it to promote season 2. I said, I'll pay you $500. And that's what she did. And she posted it. But that was from a fan. And then we used it to promote the upcoming season 2. Again, it wasn't in season 1. And now we're talking to Gaga about creating an original song for season 2 that will go into the show. And so you have to be listening to what your fans are saying. And we could have easily, other brands might have said, well, that wasn't in the show. We're not going to use that song. That was a fan. But you really have to lean into what they're doing. And we got a lot of comments back love that Netflix was listening. This song wasn't in the show and they used it anyway. So we do a lot of listening. I mean, you talked about community management to pull out what we think is going to be really popular. And then you guys know your marketing on TikTok, things fly so fast. And also you have to be quick about it. You have to capitalize on it because a moment could be gone, within a week. And so you really have to capture the momentum.
Actually, I would love to go on and on and on. Because this has been probably the best session for me at Cannes Lions this year. So thank you, both of you. It's extraordinary and completely joyful for me from a marketing perspective. Here is one thing which I would love for you guys to do, if you're open to it. Maybe you should actually come over with your team, respectively, not on the same day. but come and spend a day with us. Or we will be delighted to come over to your, I think there is so much that we can exchange. We do more serious stuff and we need to take ourselves a little less seriously. And probably you guys have to do something in terms of when you are scaling. Maybe there is something you can learn from us from a data perspective. Whether it happens or not, we would love to have that kind of a marketing exchange program. That will be phenomenal. And what a delight it is with both of you. Brilliant. Thank you.
You're welcome anytime at Liquid Death headquarters, but I will say, if you skate the skate ramp, you have to sign a form. HR makes you sign the form.
Done.
We have a half pipe in the office.
Done. Absolutely. But thank you so much, both of you. Really appreciate it.